What's going on, guys? This is Damien from The Lookout and I'm here with Learn to Play Red Beerus, the ultimate guide for learning Red Beerus in Fusion World. Super in-depth. After watching this video you'll know everything that you need to know about playing Beerus in Fusion World. But before we begin this video, huge shout out to the Coffee Club, our lovely patrons. These are our $2 and up patrons. They buy us coffee, they keep this crazy content machine going, and guys, thanks a lot for your support. If you wish to join the Coffee Club, link to a Patreon is in the description below. And I think that's about everything. Roll the video! As with all of our videos, let's start with the breakdown. So in this video, I'm gonna give you a brief archetype breakdown. I'll show you some lines of play, interactions, I'll show you a deck list to try out. We're gonna go over the first 3 turns, and then I'm just gonna wrap it up with a summary. Let's go! Let's start with our leader on the front side. He's Beerus 15k, then he has the crit leader permanent where he becomes 20k. He's a crit leader, he doesn't draw, so it's just kinda shit. Yeah, crit leaders are bad, crit leaders are awful. Basically, you just wish to awaken as best as possible. Like, let your opponent hit you, don't out combo, just awaken ASAP. Because once you awaken, oh yeah, on the awakened side, well, Beerus is just kinda amazing. Beerus is phenomenal once he awakens. First off, we finally get to draw, this is the big one. And then activate main once per turn, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards and give it minus 10k power for the turn. Yeah, this might not look like much. You might be thinking like, well, it's just minus 10. How much is minus 10 really? It's a lot. It's really a lot. Like, this ability is crazy good. We need to explore it a bit. So let's jump into a bunch of calculations. In this part of the video I'm going to be bothering you with maths, but first let's just go through how minusing works in the game. Alright, so each battle card has its own power. Android 18 has 15k here. When you minus a card's power to 0, it goes to the drop. So basically, 18 is 15k here, right? You pay 1, you play Mafuba. Mafuba gives minus 15k power to something. You reduce her power to 0, because the power went to 0, she goes immediately to the drop. And the most important thing, because I think some people might be overlooking this, when a card is sent to the drop this way, it doesn't count as being KO'd. So if she had a own KO effect, it wouldn't trigger. Here's what I'm talking about. Okay, so let's say we have these 2 scenarios. Here is the shitty Android 16. Doesn't do much. Basically, blocker 15k 6 cost. When KO'd, he brings out the Gohan, the one that heals you. Okay, in scenario number 1, we're going to KO it with Big Bang Attack. So we use Big Bang Attack, we KO it somehow. By some miracle this works, and we managed to KO it. We're cheating. If you don't understand, like, Big Bang Attack can't KO the 6 drop. Doesn't matter. KOs it somehow. His effect triggers, brings out Gohan. Okay. In the other scenario, we use Mafuba to drop Android's power to 0, and in this case, because he still goes to the drop, but it doesn't count as a KO, his ability doesn't trigger, so he doesn't bring out the Gohan. That's basically the difference. Now let's talk about thresholds. Okay, here's where the numbers actually begin. So, like every other color, and most of the decks in the game, red is bound to certain thresholds. For example, in red's case, there's a strict limit by just how much we can actually minus battle cards while using a single card. Now, there isn't a limit by how much you can minus a battle card. If there's a card that says give it minus 100,000 power, you can do that in theory. But there are ceilings of how much a single card can do. And what makes Beerus exceptionally good, what makes Beerus so strong, is that his ability can add to whatever minus effect a single card has and allow it to go past its threshold. So you're basically increasing all of your minus effects, a single minus effect on a single card, by 10. So here's what I'm talking about. Let's start with the basics. Okay, so we have 4 power thresholds. Minus 5, minus 10, minus 15, and minus 20. Minus 20 is the more rare one. So on low end, the lowest that we can go is minus 5. That's usually 1-drops and Kamehameha for some godforsaken reason. And that's basically useless. Most of the time this is completely useless. Our minusing ability peaks at minus 20. There isn't, as far as I'm aware, there isn't a single card that goes above minus 20. So that's the max that we can do. If we translate this into costs, here's what we get. As we can see here, minus 5 and minus 10 mostly hits 1-drops. Sometimes there's probably gonna be some crazy 2-cost 10k card that's gonna be hit by a minus 10k effect. But usually it's 1-drops. Minus 15 usually hits 2-drops, and minus 20 hits either cost 2 or cost 3 if cost 3 is on the low threshold of power. Like these Trunks, for example. He's 20k, that's pretty low for a free cost. But I mean, that's the lower threshold basically. So as we can see here, there are certain hard limits to which cards we can remove with minusing effects. Now when we add Beerus' ability to the equation, we increase all of our minus abilities by 10k. So on the low end, if we just had Whis, for example, and use that one, and then followed it up with Beerus, that's effectively minus 15. And now you hit 1 costs and 2 costs. When we look at minus 10, it's minus 20. So following up Gohan with Beerus, you can remove up to a free cost, which is great. Low end free cost. When it comes to Mafuba, following up, you will always hit a free cost. At least you will be able to remove a free cost battle card and some 4-cost battle cards. And if you do the same with Krillin, that's minus 30k, it's the same result. It's either a free cost or lower, or 4-cost of low or lower, basically. Remember, you can only do this once per turn. So it doesn't matter how many of these minus effects you use, you can only use Beerus' minus 10 once per turn. But as you can see here, it's a pretty significant upgrade. However, even with Beerus' minus 10k buff, let's call it like that, there are still some hard limits imposed by the design team, and honestly I like it. You can't minus boss monsters or super rares. Well, at least some of the super rares you can't minus, some you can. But yeah, as we can see here, Beerus is 35k, Frieza is 40k, we can't hit them. We just can't. We peak at minus 30 with a single card. If you wish to remove them, you will just have to use one more card, for example. Let's say we use Krillin plus Beerus, that's minus 30, and we need 5 more to remove the Beerus. And then we say like, okay, use Whis to give it minus 5. Because all these effects are for the turn, basically. So yeah, we can't remove the biggest threats without investing at least one more card. Let's talk about Awakening, because unfortunately we are a crit leader, and crit leaders are ass. So we need to awaken ASAP. I don't understand how and why we got crit leaders, because they're just, they're awful, most of them, even when they awaken, but sure. Luckily, Roshi is absurdly good when it comes to self-awakening with Beerus, because he allows us to immediately follow up our awakening with a free Mafuba. So we can just do Roshi, awaken, Mafuba, minus 10 something. And it clears a minus 25k from the board. That's amazing. Here's an example. So we're at 5 lives, right? We pay 1 to play Roshi. Then we say activate main, we grab a life, and our next red extra card is gonna cost 1 red cheaper. We're on 4, time to awaken, and now we can play, let's say we have Mafuba in hand. We can play it for free. So we play Mafuba, we target the Trunks, give it minus 15. Usually this wouldn't kill him, he's minus 10 now. But now, because we have awakened, we can just say like, okay, activate main, give it minus 10, his power goes down to 0 and he's removed. So yeah, that's a pretty decent awakening turn. Let's talk about the secret rare, because I believe that the secret rare works best in this deck. So the secret rare has a burn effect, right? Auto when this card KOs an opponent's battle card in battle, deal 1 damage to your opponent. And don't play you minus something by 15. In Beerus, this is huge, because what we can do is this right here. Okay, check this out. So we start, let's say what to KO, and we find this Gohan, right? He's 30k, like he's a bit big. Sure. Pay 4, we play the SCR. On playability triggers, we give Gohan minus 15k. He's 15 now. Okay. Now we say activate main from Beerus, give Gohan minus 10. Gohan is 5 now. And now we swing with the SCR, with the 30k SCR, into Gohan. Yeah, I wrote 35k, just ignore. Let's say you combo. You swing 30 into his 5. He's not defending. Unless your opponent dumps like half of their hand, they're not defending this. You can just go to 35, just in case if they have a big hand. Who cares? Gohan is KO'd, and your ability triggers. Because he's KO'd, you deal 1 damage, so their leader takes 1 damage. So, yeah, much easier to deal damage than to swing 30 into 20. Just minus a card with Beerus and make it a 5k and then beat it. It's a pretty cool combo. The last thing that we need to mention before we go into the deck list and turn breakdowns is the archetype. Beerus doesn't have an archetype. Beerus is the only set 1 leader who doesn't have an archetype, which is crazy because there's also a Universe 6 archetype that doesn't have a leader, but then again it doesn't really do anything in Beerus, so it's just kind of weird. Doesn't matter. What this allows us to do is that it allows us to customize the deck however we want. You can run Universe 6 Beerus. You can. You can run Universe 7 Beerus. You can do whatever you want. Right now there is no optimal build for Beerus, mostly because it's a crit leader, but you know the game isn't out yet. We need to test a lot. However, I'm gonna give you my experimental Goku SCR burn build, which is kinda cool, so let's go with that one. Here is the deck list, link is in the description below. This was built on Deck Planet. Deck Planet has the biggest database of decks, it's the best deck builder, it is the website to go to check out Fusion World cards. You don't need to go anywhere else. Go to Deck Planet or go to Top Deck Diffusion if you speak French. So anyways guys, link is in the description below. This is the non-optimized weird experimental SCR build. The SCR isn't in the website yet, so I just kind of photoshopped it there. So that's why it looks so weird. Anyway, let's check out the Mulligan. Here is the Mulligan. We grab Roshi. We grab every single Roshi that we can find. Just grab all of them. We take a symbol representatives of Universe 7. Why? Because it tutors our SCR. That's basically it. Because it tutors our extra copies of the SCR. You look at top 5, you reveal one Universe 7, and you add it to your hand. And that's it basically. And then you bottom deck the rest. So it's a way to dig for the SCR. And we keep an SCR because hey, we need it to burn. So yeah, that's the Mulligan. In this part of the video, we're gonna go over your first 3 turns with the deck. Now that you know the basics, it's time to check out how to play this deck. We'll be going, of course, over the first 3 turns, and as always, we're using the provided deck list. We are assuming that you went first, and that you have kept the show Mulligan. Alright, let's see what this deck can do. Turn 1, the usual setup. This is what our normal turn 1 looks like. So we start, charge 1, pay 1, play the Roshi, activate main, grab a life, and now let's say we can play a symbol, representatives of Universe 7, for free. So we play it, we search top 5, and let's say we grab a Krillin. We add it to our hand and we just pass the turn. That's it, there's really not much else to do on turn 1. Turn 2, the standard stuff basically, just more self-awakening. We start, charge 1, draw 1, and then we pay 2 to play Krillin. We take a life, Krillin gets plus 5k power from his permanent. Now he attacks for 20, attack resolves, and then we get to attack with our leader, attack resolves, and then we just kinda pass the turn. Turn 3, we finally get to awaken. Okay, so let's start, charge 1, draw 1, and then we pay 1 to play the Roshi. Activate main, we take a life, let's say that's the last one that we need, right? That's the 4th one. I mean the 5th one, now we're on 4. We get to also use Mafuba for free, so we just say, okay, Mafuba activate main, target Ginyu, give him minus 15. This of course isn't guaranteed to happen on turn 3, but I just want to show you once again how the Mafuba awakening goes. So minus 15 to Ginyu, then we awaken, draw 1, activate main, minus 10, and then Ginyu is gone, and we still have 2 energy open. So let's say we pay 2 to play something, hit for example, we attack with everything and we pass the turn. Before we end the video, let's quickly jump into the summary. Beerus is a fun, relatively diverse red good stuff leader. Beerus is very fun. Your leader's activate main ability is really amazing, as it pushes your removal far beyond its normal limits. Beerus, however, doesn't have an archetype, but that allows us to customize the builds however we see fit. The biggest downside, though, is that he's a crit leader, and crit leaders are almost exclusively horrible. In fact, Beerus is the only one that's okay. Yeah, and Beerus can't awaken super early, unlike Goku Black, which can awaken lightning fast. So, but then he's horrible when he awakens. So, yeah, that's a bit of a... at least it's not cooler. So, anyway, that's the biggest downside. Maybe at some point in the future, this will be much easier to navigate. Overall, the archetype looks really fun to play. It can be built for cheap, because you can really put anything into this deck and make it work. And it's just super customizable. So if you're getting yourself a couple of packs, you happen to open Beerus, give it a go. Like, put some random red good stuff in it and just try to have fun. That's it for the video. Let me know in the comments below, will you be giving Beerus a go? Is this one of the leaders that you're looking forward to playing once the game drops? If you've played the beta, have you had the chance to try Beerus out? Let me know in the comments. I read all of your comments, I try to respond to everything. I love our little community. We'll be having more and more of these guides. We'll cover everything. Don't worry, if there's something specific that you want to see covered, also let me know in the comments. And while you're here, hit those like and subscribe buttons, share the video, help us get to 4,000 subs when we're gonna give away a booster box. This has been Damien from The Lookout, and I'll see all of you in the next video.